video response and recommendations on these grid down situations, and this is mainly to the Hibernations video, and there's a series of videos that he posted, so I guess you would have to cross-backtrack this if you haven't already watched Hibernations videos, and the other one about ISIS and the vulnerabilities of the electric grid, EMP, and all that kind of bad stuff. Okay, well, first of all, when we talk about IS or ISIS, you know, you wonder why they play around with the fucking acronyms all the time. A lot of that has to do with the Pakistani version of the CIA, which is called the ISI. And those guys actually run far more shit than anybody really wants to admit they run. So, I'm not saying it's them, but I am saying that there's going to be Middle Eastern agencies where they pull off an attack, they call the White House, and they say, oh, well, we had a little intelligence on this, and if you had given us a lot more money, we might have been able to stop it. You know what I mean? Okay. That's how those people function. Okay. Shit's gonna happen, and then fucking Obama and the guys get a phone call, and they say, oh, well, we almost had the information, but it was gonna cost more money, so yeah, we're so sorry that attack happened. And by the way, here's how it can happen again and again, unless maybe we get a bunch more money. Now, here's what else is happening, is that everybody who actually runs shit knows that there is a culture and an infrastructure of dependency in this country. That's the fucking problem, is the departure from the original philosophies of the Constitution, original philosophies of the founders of this country. And I'm not necessarily saying all these guys whose faces are on the money. I'm talking about the people who came here and originally built this country. We're building it for independence. And when we have an actual infrastructure of dependency, and then a bunch of people advocating the fact that, okay, here it is, the infrastructure can't be changed for 30 years, but we need to guard it better. Oh, crap. You know, somebody figured that out, right? Okay, so here's the thing that I do, not just I talk about, okay? I do, okay? Is you look, there's about 100 odd videos in my playlist that I made. Okay, I made those videos. Those aren't something I just kind of clipped and copied and ripped off the net. That's all me in most of that stuff. You kind of hear the voice in the background on those. That's me building shit, okay? And when I do that stuff, I'm doing it all from the standpoint of proving that I can do a couple of things based on my limited income and to some degree limited ability. I don't have a lot of formal blue-collar training. I actually have academic degrees, but I've done a lot of blue-collar work. I've done a lot of that, and I've had some. I was a combat engineer in the Army for a while. And then I did, well, not a whole lot of that stuff in the Marine Corps, but in Army National Guard, I was a combat engineer for a long time. And I was the grunt side of it. I wasn't an officer. So I actually did stuff hands-on the whole time, okay? Never rode a desk again on that stuff. And so I've got solar arrays, I've got all that kind of stuff. I've invested a lot of my discretionary income in some of that stuff. But when I really add it up, it's not much more money than a good used, maybe Mustang or something like that. I mean, it's not like it was tons and tons of money. It was a lot to me, but to a lot of the kind of people that are out there producing their books and videos and associating with high-end people, it's really not a lot of money to them. And so what I see is a lot of campaigning and talking about something while they're still kind of in that whole dependency lifestyle. I've seen Jesse Ventura talks about off the grid. He's off the grid. I haven't seen any tours of the solar, the water generation, the water stuff, you know. We've got our prepper guys, the practical prepper guys showing what they do. But as soon as we get into the talkers who think, okay, that's kind of cool, that's great. And then we've got the really incessant talkers who talk about Well, I think that's really, really cool, and I would do it if somebody else does all the work and I'm in charge. Whatever, okay? And then you got the very small number of us who are doing it with actually less help than you think. With one of the survival retreats that I'm primarily involved in, we had as many as 30 people saying that they were going to get involved and get involved with the actual construction. Now, there's a lot of verbal support for what we do, tremendous amount of verbal support. There had been some financial support for the full-time people up there, some. And we actually had issues with one of the original people that was had been involved with building the place before we got there, and said, well, we want to really repopulate it, get a thing going again here. And that guy's turned out to be bad news. So in that sense, when we also talk about vulnerability to the grid, well, there's still that issue of the culture and infrastructure of dependency. What those of us who are actually watching YouTube and doing things, you call your congressman, hi, I'm dependent on all this stuff, can you protect it? You know what that's like? That's like a bunch of fucking drug addicts calling for Obamacare so they can get free dope. I mean, come on, don't we know what's going on? You don't want to fucking work? You don't want to fucking do anything productive in the fucking world? I hurt, I want disability and Obamacare. Can you charge everybody who works and kind of get that for me? I'll give you a vote. Shit, fuck you. I mean, come on. And now somebody says, well, I like to have all my electrical stuff turned on and I really want it and I keep it and the big bad guys in ISIS are going to turn it off. Can you send somebody to fix that because I want my plugs to keep working? Really? Wow. You know what? Those are all the same people that want to fucking psychoanalyze me on a little comment thing and tell me I'm so full of shit when I'm out building stuff. Oh, you preppers are crazy. Nobody will come and take it anyway. You know what that means, right? That's because you got a bunch of fucking junkie-minded dickheads who, yeah, they probably would try to take it. You know, they probably would. Now, I can understand also why when those people in those parts of the government that feel like they need to save something are fortifying all their stuff, because all these people who are selling their votes for the dependency constituency, that's what they're doing. Okay, you know what's going to happen when the Uncle Sugar isn't handing out any more candy, right? You know that's how it works. It's kind of like somebody made a vampire movie about a revolution among vampires. What if everybody's a vampire? What if everybody's a vampire and the blood banks run out? Okay, that's what happens. So we got to reframe the thing. How can we become less dependent on the grid, or at least have a backup plan? And what that needs to involve is getting involved in off-grid capable communities, getting involved in off-grid capable stuff. How much time do I have left here? I got about 2 minutes left on this thing before I go over 10 minutes. There was a group of survival guys into ATVs, all veterans, all that kind of a thing, a few weeks ago. Shooters, veterans, into ATV, all that kind of stuff. One of the guy's girlfriends jackknifed his ATV trailer, a snowmobile trailer, out in the middle of the woods, out in the middle of nowhere, near Tillamook, Oregon. Now, if you look at a map on where Tillamook, Oregon is and Portland is, you realize Tillamook is country land, right? So they were kind of stuck out there. It was like, okay, do we abandon our trailer? How do we get back? Well, they managed to convoy, get everything back, but the trailer was stuck in the woods because the metal thing on it was all gimped up and broken. They called me and because I had an ad on Craigslist for doing welding work. He called me and said, hey, can you come and fix something? I'm like, sure. I'll scoot over, and then they kind of give me the address. And I said, okay, well, I'll scoot over there. Well, it's a little ways from there. They're kind of wondering what's going on, right? Well, I get there, and it turned out it was 30 miles from where to meet him. Okay, well, I charged him a bit for, the time and the trouble and everything going out there. Now, I'm glad to do that kind of work. I'm glad to make that money. I'm glad to do things for, preppers, survivalist gun guys, and get stuff fixed. And sometimes, you know, there's reasons to be discreet about it, but they let me do a video without them in the video, and everything was cool. I did a video on off-grid welding repairs. They couldn't find anybody else among everybody they knew. They couldn't find anyone with the time, energy, money, and commitment and equipment to get out there and do an off-grid welding repair on something. Nobody. Nobody among their whole circle of people. Apparently, you know, they knew people. Nobody had that. Nobody among who they knew nobody among who else they could find on Craigslist could get out there for anything close to reasonable money. And I charged close to $200 for that repair. Now it took me kind of an afternoon. I'll work an afternoon for $200, even if I got to spend, you know, $40 on gas and weld wire and all that to do it. But there's a lot of people who maybe want that too, but they never invested in the equipment. They never invested in off-grid capability. Well, fuck. Is that more of a culture of dependence? You got the same thing going on with our society. And so if somebody wants to vote to have more guards at power plants or investigate it a little more, I'm sure the FBI is already investigating that stuff. I don't fucking know who did it. I'm not doing stupid shit like that just to sell more solar panels, because a lot of people won't buy these things from me anyway. I haven't had a single... I've had a few people ask me, you know, when I did a super low budget off-grid trailer, people asked me, you know, what's it cost to build it? I said it's about $2,500 in material. Oh, that's too much money. Okay, what kind of car do you drive, man? I mean, what kind of computer you got? What kind of guns you own? I mean, and I'm not looking to get, like, you know, somebody wants to trade me an SKS for a power system. Oh, you'll really need my guns when the shit hits a fan. I'll tell you what I'll do. Not only would I need your guns, I'll need you doing guard duty out on the perimeter, and we'll feed you. Okay, that's how it's going to work. And you know what you're worth? You're worth food and doing guard duty if you don't have any fucking tools or work skills. Yeah, we'll fucking feed you, and I'll go do guard duty on the perimeter. Or, what, you think you're tough guys? You're going to hover over us and make us work? You're going to enslave us because maybe you got better guns or something? Well, guess what? If you're in there guarding and enslaving me, somebody's going to come up, shoot you in the back, and probably make a better deal with me. Because it's tools, ability, resources, and being able to build shit, especially off-grid, that's going to help you survive whatever you think might be coming if an EMP hits.